Hello, and welcome to Introducing Me. I'm your host, Sarah. I started this podcast to get to know other people and lifestyles while discovering more about myself. Each episode, I will give a new guest a chance to discuss their background, culture, interests, or whatever they want to talk about to help increase all of our own worldviews. Today, I would like to introduce you to John. John grew up in central Pennsylvania and was very active in Boy Scouts. He left the rural life for Washington, D.C. after undergraduate, and since he has been able to embrace his sexuality, and it's been great knowing John. We went to undergrad together, so I'm super appreciative of him being here on the podcast today to share a little bit more about his life. So John, thank you so much. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the introduction. It's probably the best way I've ever been introed in my life. Makes me feel like I'm a movie star now. But yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. Coming from Central PA down to Washington, D.C., right after undergrad, which would have been in 2015. So I've been down here in the nation's capital for about 7.5 years at this point. And part of the reason why I came down here was actually through Scouts. So my involvement was a bit more intensive, a bit more intensive than just on the local level. I got involved within the Order of the Arrow, which is the National Honor Society of Scouting. And within that, they've got different levels. And I was able to ascend up to the national level, where I became the national president of the Order of the Arrow. So what does that mean? Essentially, I represented about 600,000 Order of the Arrow members directly, and then also 1.2 million Scouts and Scouters across the country and also around the world with a few military bases. With the role, I had a few different roles and responsibilities. One was to be on the National Executive Board of the BSA. The National Executive Board is the overarching governing body for the Boy Scouts of America. So this is, again, across the nation. At the time in 2012, when I was elected, the volunteer president was Rex Tillerson, who was the former CEO of ExxonMobil and the former Secretary of State. And the professional is one who is on the payroll of the BSA. It's their day-to-day job, was Bob Mazuka. And as you can imagine, 2012, that's still when the BSA did not allow gay youth to be in the program. So me being closeted definitely made it an interesting experience. And being a rural PA kind of compounded. And it wasn't until moving to DC, that I was really able to come into my own. And it took me 7 years now to actually be confident in myself, understand who I am, and to blend kind of multiple facets of my life. I have my scouting life, I have my Susquehanna life, my undergraduate institution, I had a Central PA life, I had my DC life, I had a gay life. So everything felt very segmented, and it took a lot of stress and a lot of strife and a lot of internal and external conflict to kind of bring those pieces together. And scouting definitely helped me, definitely in the past, not helped me quite as much. It probably inhibited me from growing quicker. That said, a lot of the friends I made in the program who are either identify as lesbian, gay, straight, transgender, bisexual, have definitely helped me out to help me in my own, because we all went through a shared experience. And so that's because that's the main gist of it.
So I'm curious to know, when you first started Boy Scouts, did you ever think it was going to be such a big part of your life, and or that you would then get to the rank you were at in a national level?
Oh, no, definitely not. So the fun story of why I stuck with Scouts, my parents had a rule that I had to do something outside of school, preferably a sport or something that got me out of doors. And when I was a little kid, I was doing b-ball, which is right after t-ball. So it's probably elementary to middle school. So I was doing that, and I had Scouts. And then my parents were like, okay, well, I'm like, I hate both, because I was a little bit of a little stinker as a kid. And they're like, you have to choose one. And I ended up going with Boy Scouts because the baseball uniform felt weird. Like, it didn't fit well. So I was like, all right, let's go to Boy Scouts. And so, or Cub Scouts. So did that. And oh man, I was so shy and quiet and awkward, more awkward than I am now. But now you can't shut me up. In the going through the program, I never imagined one being any kind of leadership position whatsoever. But there was one summer. I was going to camp. I was a camper, and the scout leader had me lead us to the parade field, which is where we line up for attendance and go in for dinner and lunch. And I somehow did it. I'm like, also, I used to get homesick at summer camp. So so much that my dad or mom had to drive out halfway through the week for 5 days. And they did it multiple times. And I realized that was like an hour and a half drive each time. So I got to give them both credit for making the trip out for me. And then, after that experience of leading the group, I felt more confident. And then I became a camp counselor the next year, or when I was 16. Yeah, 16. I became a camp counselor and got more involved in the Order of the Arrow, which again is the National Honor Society of Scouting. And that was really the people gave me an outlet to try new things, like plan an event. I love the showmanship. They had some cool ceremonies that happened. I don't know. I just got into it, and it made me feel more welcomed and comfortable. But no, I almost did not get my Eagle Scout. I had the whole council saying like, no, John, just do it, get it done. I got it on May 26th or 7th. And you have to do it before your 18th birthday. My birthday is June 18th. So I finished everything. So I was like a month away from not getting it. So no, I did not imagine getting past the local level, let alone to the national level.
And so typically, I don't actually know if this is really typical, but at least the way I see Boy Scouts is typically after like an Eagle project or after graduating high school, people tend to not be as involved until, say, maybe like they're a dad or a parent who then like has a child going through Boy Scouts. So what was it like then going to college? Like you were in this national role, but college doesn't necessarily like equal Boy Scouts per se.
Yeah, no, that was a great question. And you've hit the nail on the head with part of I think the factor is not really I think the old stigma, and might still ring true, is that Scouts is not cool. Also now it's called Scouts BSA. I'll have to correct myself. So it's just Scouts integrated with male and female. But yeah, so going through that experience, I'm trying to think how to best describe it. So you are correct. Most people after the Eagle Scout, they take a break, go to college, they're not as involved. And so there's a gap. But with me, so the Order of the Air extended their youth membership requirement when it was up until 21. After 21, you're an adult. Whereas within the scouting program, being an adult is 18. So there is they kind of help retain folks in that age range. So when I was not at college, I was with people like my demographic. Like I loved it. That year, so 2012 was our freshman year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my freshman year. So I got elected December 31st of 2011. So yeah, that entire year, I was gone traveling almost every weekend and sometimes longer throughout the summer. So I was with people who are definitely like me in that, like when I say like me, they were in Scouts, kind of the same age, in the same environment. For us, it was normal. I got to travel some cool places. I want to say not as cool, but more. I mean, like a small town called Americus, Georgia, but all the way to DC, to Germany. So doing all this really cool stuff over here in scouting. Then I come back during the week to be a student at Susquehanna. And I was like, well, I'm back home, and I won't discredit anything about Central. Well, I've got my feelings about Central PA, but like coming back from that kind of like jet setting lifestyle to rural PA, Susquehanna, where no one really knew what I was doing. Like I think you, like, as a close friend, had a better idea of what was going on, but the general populace did not. And so like I would come back to campus during the week, and it's kind of hard to maintain friendships when you're gone every weekend. So like I was doing classwork, I was working 3 or 4 part-time jobs. Yeah, people looked at me like, oh yeah, you're that scout guy who travels or like is never around. So it's definitely the dichotomy was, it was jarring at first. And when I was done with my term, I remember coming back. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just sitting here. I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting.
Yeah, it does. And now that you're not still in Central PA, like the original chapter, charter, all of that you were involved in, are you still involved in Scouts?
I am. So I do a very, the role is called a unit commissioner. So I am the intermediary between the Scout troop and the local district/council. So I mainly work with adults right now. And for me, I don't do a whole lot in the day-to-day of it. I mainly help field questions from Scout leaders. But given where I am professionally and in life, it allows me the flexibility to give back just a little bit to be connected. But I'm definitely not as involved as I used to be. And I could see a life where I am more involved, but I don't think I'm quite there yet.
That makes sense. And would you be willing to share a little bit about the history of scouting with things such as non-straight people or it now being Scouts BSA, like all of that and what your experience was because it happened like during your time?
Yep, sure did. So I don't know the exact timeline of events. So 2012 is when I would have been the national president. And again, part of that role is I was on the national executive board. And around that time is when I think they announced that they were going to have a national vote on whether or not to allow gay youth and I think gay adults in the program to allow them to be out. So essentially, what that means is if I told my scout leader or someone with my local council that I was gay, as it stood when I was the national president, they could have kicked me out. They could have taken my uniform away, all the work that I had done. And that is not an uncommon occurrence. I know folks who are my age, who are only a few years older, that they were kicked out, and they were kicked out. They were definitely bullied for it. It was not a pleasant situation by any means. So me being in that position on the national level, I remember being at one of the national meetings down in Dallas, Texas, which is where the then BSA, now Scouts BSA, or Scouts USA, whatever it is, they met with down in Texas, had the national meeting. And so they had members from all across the country. So this is from like California to like rural PA to DC to Alabama, Florida, the Northeast and Midwest. All of the local council leaders come down and they essentially debated whether or not to allow gay youth or gay adults in. And I remember sitting in the room and hearing people, some were like, hey, we need to do this. This is the right thing. Like we should allow, like it shouldn't matter what your sexuality or sexual orientation is. And then there are other people who were very much not in favor of it. I remember one scout leader, like local council leader, scout executive, essentially said, if we do this, it will ruin the program. We're all going to hell. These like scum of the earth should not be allowed in. And as you can imagine, I don't know if I knew I was gay at the time. I definitely had an inclination, but I definitely put me more back in the closet and did not help my development. And then so following that, my year, I was a conference president. The conference is the National Ortheo Conference, which is held every 3 to 4 years. And mine was at Michigan State University. It's a high-profile event. For context, we had, I think, like 7,000 people in attendance. And so we were told explicitly, like, do not talk about this. do not engage. If you hear anything about, there was an organization, I think it's still around. Yeah, it's definitely still around, called Scouts for Equality, who are like a big grassroots push for the BSA to allow queer youth and adults in. Like, don't talk to them. If the media asks you a question, just ignore it. Don't mention it in any meetings. So again, as you can imagine, me being I do identify as gay, so me being a gay scout, maybe not realizing at the time, it did not allow me to, like, in my brain, I was like, all right, this is bad. I have to follow them. I was also like, what, 18? Yeah, I think just turned 18 that summer, going on 19. So still young enough and still in that central PA rural mindset that I had to do what I was told. And so that was 2012. I think 2013 is when they voted, and they did vote in favor of allowing gay youth in the program. And then I think 2015, they allowed gay adults in. And then 2018 or 19, they allowed transgender youth in. And then it was what, 2019 or 2020? I would have to look it up. They allowed females to be in the BSA as a scout. There's already the venturing program, but this is the first time that someone identified as female could become an Eagle Scout, which is pretty groundbreaking. And I remember being in meetings within through the era, like, oh, this is impossible. Like, we have to change everything around. What's going to happen? And I don't remember where I stood at the time, but thinking about it, I'm like, wait, we have the venturing program that's co-ed already. We have Sea Scouts, that's co-ed. Like, what's the problem? And so I don't really know what happened in between on the actual like voting side and culture. That's when I took my long break. But this past year, actually no, this year, 2022, there was another National Order of the Arrow conference, and out of nowhere, I randomly get a message from a friend of mine who, he was someone that was actually kicked out when he was a youth for being gay. It's like, hey, we're going to have this thing called Arrow Pride. We'd love to have you contribute. If you don't mind, could we have a profile of you for the wall? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? And I did have a weird moment. I was like, wow, this is going to be the first time that people who I don't know are going to see me as like, oh, John is gay, and like in a scouting sense. So it was weird. It was like kind of like a terrifying moment, but then I got over it. And once I got over it, I'm like, you know what? I've been so far removed. If I am going to continue to grow and be comfortable with myself, this has to be a step I want to take. And so I did. And then out of nowhere, someone I knew from my conference, when I say out of nowhere, during the actual conference that was down at, I think, the University of Tennessee, they asked, like, hey, could you and your officers from 2012 come back for a webinar? We'd love to hear experience from 10 years ago. So I, like, yeah, sure, why not? Hopped on, saw some of my officers, which out of the 6 of us, I think all but 2 identify somewhere within, like, either gay, bisexual, like on that side. So there were a lot of LGBTQ folks on the national level. But one of the questions they asked was like, hey, what was the big difference now than it was from 2012? I was like, well, first of all, this would never happen. Like, there would never be a whole like Arrow Pride. There wouldn't be a whole lounge set up. We could not talk about this. So it's really cool to have an environment where like this is now, like, it was normal. Like, this is becoming a normalized part of the conference. And I love the initiative and all the work that people who were, a few folks from my year, some older, some even younger, and also there were both men and women running the webinar, which I thought was really cool. And granted, I'm only 29 years old. I'm really not that old in the grand scheme of things. But I was like, oh, back in my day, we had to do this. So yeah, I know it's a long answer, but short version, a lot has changed. And I am very happy to see that our Scouts BSA has grown and is now getting with the times and allowing the benefits I reaped as a kid to be for everyone that wants to be involved.
Yeah, and it is great to see, like, while it took time, like, it has happened. It is like the situation now, like, it is reality. So I think that's really important. Now, you talked about, of course, back in 2012, not necessarily knowing you were gay, like hearing people being like, yeah, quote unquote, they don't belong. So what was it like for you outside of Scouts to then coming to terms with your sexuality?
Oof. uh, so I think I'd started to know during undergrad towards the end. Yeah, towards the end, probably junior, senior year. I think I had my first true gay experience. I'm like, all right, this is not just a phase. Like, this is an emotional connection. And it was not the most positive, but also I can't blame myself or the other person. Like being that young, both being closeted, it's just unfortunately the nature of the game. So coming to terms with my sexuality, it really happened when I came to DC, and that's when I started to. Oh man, like coming down here, not only so DC is one of I think DC has the highest percentage of people who identify as LGBTQ or on a on I don't know what to call it, like on like identify as not straight, not heterosexual. It's like 8 or 10% at this point. It's also a very liberal city, liberal as in politically leaning. And so when I came down from Central PA, I still had my kind of indoctrined conservative mindset, and then I would go on dates with people, or yeah, I would meet people, and we start talking, and they'd be like, "Oh, wait, this?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I don't know, like at the time." I come from like, yeah, like probably conservative, like middle ground, like, oh, how dare you? Like, that's awful. And so I had to battle with that because now I'm realizing that most of the guys down here, and again, I can only speak on behalf of my experience as a gay man and as a cisgender white gay man as well, which is definitely probably different than other folks. But yeah, like I had that. I'm trying to figure out like who I am. Like, wait, do I believe in this? Like, am I actually like gay? Like, I was getting like this is a new thing. I had some really bad experiences, both just like meeting people, uh, and I would come back. Like, I would come back and see my family, and I still had to kind of had to like hide myself. So I had my own little world, had my DC world, and then I had my Central PA world, and there's no real overlap or connection. But then I started as I learned more about myself. I'm like, wait, I don't really believe in these Republican conservative views. And so I come back to my family, and of course, me, who has a tendency to be a little boisterous in my opinions, may have gotten some conflicts, and it definitely it was a pretty tumultuous, rough time. I won't call it dark, but it definitely wasn't. Looking back, wasn't happy. I wasn't the healthiest either. Like I did not gain a lot of weight, but I wasn't working out. I felt awful. I was sick all the time. I was stressed, and I started dating someone, which would have been in like 2015 or 16, and that's when I finally came out to my parents, and I sent a text, which apparently they didn't think was most appropriate, but my mom definitely knew I was gay. We had a bit of a conversation, but even I think when I told her, it was like, "Hey, don't worry. Like, I still like girls. Like, maybe I'm bisexual, but like, I don't worry about it." She's like, "Hey, you don't, you don't have to, you don't have to justify it to me." And they were ultimately fairly okay with it. And but then I found out they were not completely okay with it in the moment, but overall very supportive. But yeah, I dated someone for about 3.5, 4 years that I really wasn't. I was getting more comfortable with myself, but they kind of added on to the toxicity that I experienced. I didn't really grow as a person. I was still struggling financially, getting a job that paid well enough. Like I was doing grad school plus my full-time job plus a part-time job, and then moved in. I helped save some money, but I was still in a pretty bad place until about actually last year, 2021. Also, COVID did not help out, like being stuck inside. And I was hanging out with people that I didn't really enjoy. And I think that was part of me thinking, oh, this is the way. I have to be like this. I have to do that. When I broke up with the person I was dating, it was definitely a rough time. But I've grown more probably in the past year and a half where I'm like, wait a second, like I can be myself. Like I can still be from Central PA and live in DC, and I can still have I'm definitely now a Democrat and more like moderate liberal views, and I can have that discussion with my parents in a way that I don't have to be a complete jerk about it per se. Sometimes it's warranted, but not all the time. Like I can still do that, but I can still come down here and still have my I have like Pennsylvania paraphernalia all over. I can still have that hometown pride. And once I realized that, I started meeting really good people. I made some really solid friends who are not focused on the superficial part of life. I'm now dating someone who's really great, who has gone through their own journey and has helped me even myself out a little bit, going to therapy as well to help go through events that were, looking back, objectively traumatic. Like the fact that 10 years ago, I was being told it's not okay to be gay, it's not okay to be a gay scout. And then I ended up taking, like almost a 7-year break. And I am certainly in the process that, but not let it necessarily be a negative, but more of a like, hey, I got through that. I'm becoming my own. Yes, it was not a great experience, but I want to ensure that no one else has to go through that, at least on the local level. So if I can do something to not make someone feel like that, I will go out of my way to do it.
Yeah. And it is good to hear about all the growth you've experienced and how you've come such a far way in even just 10 years. So I'm wondering, with all of this growth, you're obviously, like, it seems like you're happier, you're more comfortable. Do you think you've at all, like, changed?
Ooh, absolutely. Yep. And I think, well, no, I think yes, short version, yes, I have changed, but not, I don't think completely. I have not become a new person. I made a joke with my parents when I went back last year. My mom was like, "Oh, you're always gonna be my little Johners to me, and like you're always gonna be the same person." It's like, well, I hate to break it to you, Mom, but 14-year-old John skills are not going to pay 29-year-old John's bills. So I've definitely like changed I think I've changed in the sense that I am more confident and comfortable with myself. What I don't think has changed is the intrinsic values that I hold and how I've approached life. I think it's always been there. It's kind of like peeling away. I think an onion is a common metaphor. Like you're kind of like slowly taking the levels away, and on the outside, or maybe like a diamond in the rough or something. Like you're mining through like all this like nonsense and crap on the outside. But like once you finally like get through at the core, there's a diamond. So I think that is how I probably picture or imagine, kind of what do you call it, paint the picture of, yes, I did change because I've grown up and I've become an adult and confident in myself, but I haven't really changed overall as a person. And if I have, maybe you can tell me like John, you've completely changed. Like you're not the same person ever. But I think looking at the friends I have made recently or in the year and a half or the past year and a half that I've been on my own and in a better place and have gone through like the whole journey, I think you would get along with them. Like they're good people. And I like a few have met my dad and they like, or he likes them, which he hates everyone. So I'm going to take that as a maybe not change fully, but yeah, a little bit. And I look forward and I hope I keep kind of growing and adapting. I don't want to be 45 and be in the same mess than I am now. Like I'm definitely in a better place, but I don't want to, I want to keep improving and keep getting better and keep becoming happier with that.
Yeah. And having that personal growth is so important. I think, well, like one of the reasons I asked that question was, even from that negativity of 10 years ago of, if we allow gay scouts, then we're going to be like, everyone's going to hell and everything's going to go to the wayside. So, but it's not like you being gay changed, like you didn't do a full 180. Like, yeah, you're happier, but that's a good thing.
Yep, exactly. And that's a really good point too that you bring up. You're right. Like when someone comes out, they don't really change. Like, yeah, they might not be dating the partner who identifies as the opposite gender or opposite sex, but I still have those scouting values within me. And a lot of the skills I learned, a lot of the values I learned from the scouting program, along with friends, like we were still in contact. And I still still believe in the scouting program that it is good, and those who go through it are good. And I think the perception of someone, whether it be like gay, lesbian, trans, bisexual, queer, or just different from the status quo of what the BSA used to be versus now as being Scouts. You're right. Like when you can be yourself, you can still be yourself and like be a Scout. Like you can be yourself and live in DC. Like you can be yourself and live in Central PA. And I think when people start to realize that like just being happy, yes, it's a choice, but it's also influenced by the culture and society around you. And if the people around you don't want you to be happy, you have two options: either don't be happy, move, or just kind of like, I don't know, give up, just kind of like do your thing. And so, yeah, I think you're right. That's probably the biggest. Yeah, you're right. We're not all going to hell. I mean, it's hot outside, but it's not like no one. The BSA is going through its issues, and as much as I love the program, they made their choice, and like they made it. Like any business, any person, I've made mine, and so I hope the program continues on, but I hope if it does, it'll learn from its past, and I hope the people who were not as supportive as a fully inclusive program will realize, like, hey, we caused this. Like, we are the ones who ultimately led to the harm in the long run. I don't want them to be punished by any means, but I want them to have a moment of like, you know what? I did contribute to this. Like, take some ownership with it. Like, I've taken ownership with my mistakes and nonsense that I've done. Sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad.
Yes. Now, since you are, kind of on the other side of things, happier, open with your sexuality, you mentioned kind of the first instance with your parents. Did you or have you had any issues with either scouting friends, Central PA people, anyone really, with the fact that you're gay?
So within the scouting friend group, or within my scouting community, I have a lot of close friends who are not from Central PA who are Scouts, some that live in DC. Most of the ones I met on the national level, and most of them do identify as queer or not, like not as straight. And then there's some who are not, but we're pretty close. But the ones that I grew up with, I'm assuming they know at this point, but I've not been in contact with them. Family wise, I haven't had any serious backlash to me, like outwardly. I did find out through family members when I came out. My mom was pretty upset, and I don't think it was necessarily me being gay, but the fact that I didn't feel comfortable enough to tell her sooner, or that I tried to hide it, but she definitely knew sooner anyway. So I think outwardly, not really. There have been a few, not a few times, like probably once or twice while living here, I have had a random slang thrown my way. But again, DC is also a very like queer friendly city. That if someone does that, they are the minority. They're not the majority. So when I hear it, I don't really take too much offense to it. That said, when I go back to Central PA, I think I kind of revert back. Like my mannerisms might not be as they might not be as my normal self. I think someone told me like my voice got lower, which is pretty common. Where like right now talking to you, I'm not like I can be my goofy self. I can talk quickly and like have a slight lisp every once in a while. But when I go back to PA, I definitely have to put on a more heterosexual masculine persona, I think. And I don't do it on purpose. I think it's just kind of it's just ingrained in me. It just comes back out. So I think short answer is not that I know of. I'm sure there have been some thoughts and feelings, especially with family. But overall, living here has made it a lot easier. I don't think I would have the same experience if I stayed in rural Central PA. I think rural Central PA is getting getting there, like getting better, and not, when I say better as in it's not really an issue. No one's going to go out and just like beat someone up or have a hate crime committed, but it's not quite like down here where it's very normalized. And I can be like, I am probably the most boring person to walk around. Like I carry my kayak over to the water here. No one cared. I was like, oh, okay.
So do you think, like, looking forward to the future, that DC will be like home for you, or is it that you might just be looking for more queer friendly places to live, that someplace like Central PA, at least as it is now, isn't somewhere where you would go to live permanently?
Yeah, definitely not. And I say that not in a bad way. I look at the lifestyle and I think, wait, let me correct that. Not right now. The lifestyle that I enjoy is definitely city centric, or at least close to a city. Uh, so like I don't know if DC is gonna be my forever home. Like I miss having a yard. I miss greenery. I miss having the quiet. I hate humidity. Like every summer here, I hate it. Like I want to. DC is my longest running toxic relationship, and it just like keeps coming back. I think someone's like, "Oh yeah, like oh you don't know DC like I do." I was like, "No, I know it, and it's awful and it's disgusting." No, it's not disgusting. It's disgustingly hot and humid. So the short answer, I don't know if DC is my forever home, but I've been here, like I said, 7.5 years. I don't know if I could go somewhere else then and be like, I've got friends, I've got roots here, I've got a good foundation, and it's what I know. Also, the work here, like the work that I do is very, very DC focused and centric. So it's hard to get that elsewhere. Uh, that said, if I were to move, I would probably do like Denver or Seattle, another city that, and also most cities, majority of cities in the US do lean more queer, gay friendly than rural areas. Not all, but like the majority do. And if I were to go back to Pennsylvania, I could maybe do Philly or Pittsburgh. And if I do stay in a city, if I do stay in DC, I think what I would envision is things here are really expensive. So I don't know if I would try to buy a place here eventually. Or what I could do or might do is get like a small cabin up in maybe like Pennsylvania or West Virginia that I can kind of get the best of both worlds. I can go out, I can rent it out. So I think short answer is no, I would not live there permanently right now at this point in time. But there are a lot of parts of it that I miss that I would like to have I would like to find a way to have the best of both worlds at some point.
Yeah. Now, are you leaving your apartment for work, or are you like fully remote?
So right now, I've been fully remote. Oh man, the past 3 years. I have a new project. I know. I realized that. I so right now I don't really leave my apartment for work. I have a new project that will likely require me to go either into the office or into the client site. But for me, my office is a 7-minute walk away, and then my client site is like a 15-minute walk away. So it's not too far.
So still very convenient in terms of like the city living where you are, and it works.
Yep, exactly. And where I live in Southwest, it's by the waterfront, Metro South by the wharf. It is definitely built up, but it's a little bit quieter than some parts of the city. That for me, it's kind of like almost like a small town feel. Like I'll see people that I don't know them, but I'll recognize them on the street. Like I might wave, or it provides me a level of comfort, just that I know the people, I know the environment. But living on the Metro Stop, I can very quickly go up to the going out area, like U Street, Shaw, DuPont. Like tonight, I'm probably gonna go to a bar that does show tunes. So I'll do musicals and like Disney songs, and people sing along. So I might do that. But yeah, I'm still accessible, but I do come back to the quiet.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned earlier that like your past relationship and the friends that surrounded that relationship were pretty toxic. And
Oof, yeah.
so I'm curious because, like, yes, there's a larger queer population in DC, now you're kind of in a new section of that population that is much more better and friendly, less toxic. So do you find, you know, there's like the joke, like one queer person knows every queer person. Like, do you, like, obviously that's not the case. Do you think that the population in DC is growing for queer people and that there are like communities within the community?
Ooh, that is so yes to both. So there's definitely a core group of people. And again, me being here long enough now, there's very few people that stick around after 3 or 4 years. It's a very transient city. But the person I'm currently dating will like be out at a bar or restaurant and like, oh yep, want to date with them. Like, oh yep, me too. Like it is still a very incestuous, close knit group of people. Not close knit, very like a small pool of like folks to meet and to date. That said, the city is growing and it does change. Like people come in for work, people go out for work. It's like so there is some newness to it. So yes, there's definitely a lot of overlap. I don't know a lot of like on Instagram, we call them like the Insta gays in the city, that I may not know them, but we all kind of know of them. Like of them. Also, they may know of me in the same light, but I'm not that cool. I'm not that popular. Like my group of friends were kind of on the periphery of everything. But there's core groups. You've got the kind of the sport gays, like the dodgeball team, the kickball team. I did cornhole for a little bit, but that's like female, like queer dominant, which is really cool. Like I have to meet new people, and that's what I like to do. So I think there are pockets of folks that I don't know, and I usually meet people either through like various we'll call them meetup apps, and I've made friends that have been like very platonic, great people, or like at least my kind of people. I mean, I could be awful as well, but they're my level of awful, as I like to say. But then I've also met people like through friends of friends, and it's been pretty cool where my friends that I have met and made are meeting my other friends. So we're now kind of like we're slowly creating like a group, which is kind of cool. So so again, short answer is, yeah, there are definitely, I don't know every queer person in the city, but which I love that joke because it's both. It's like those memes that pop up like, oh, he's gay. Do you know him? But you just assume that I'm gay, that I know him. And then I'm like, oh yeah, nope, I know him. That does happen. It is I wouldn't call it the most accurate stereotype. I would definitely not throw it around, but so yeah, there are a pool of people who are like that. But no, there are people, if I have met the other ones that are not toxic or as bad, I realized that the folks I was hanging out with, they were the minority. Like they're a small group. The majority of people aren't too bad. Like they're pretty friendly, and I may not have the same interest as them, but I'm not gonna look over and like, oh, they're like all they do is work out, drink, and party. Like, okay, well, maybe they do that, but I don't know, they could still be a good person, just not my style. Like I go out, like I work out a little bit, and I drink. I don't really party a whole lot, but yeah. So I think I've also learned to be less judgmental, which getting away from that old group of people I would hang out with. They were very judgmental, just very like negative with everyone. Now when I go out, I'm like, oh, no, that person's just living their happy life. I can't judge them for that. Like so I've gotten more, I think I'm more open to meeting people I normally would not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. Now, is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners before I start to wrap things up?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like I say, this is really fun, Sarah, and thank you for having me come on as a guest. It was good to chat with you, and you definitely have, yeah. You asked really good questions, and it's made me think a lot about my life and my past, and it's kind of given me a good nostalgic moment, but also realize like through all of this, I'm still continuing on my journey. So hopefully like things keep improving, and yeah, it was a good experience. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. And as you know, like when I started this podcast, like, yes, it's to learn about other people, learn about others' lifestyles, but then there's also that bit of introspective, like different sort of things when I talk to people. How can their stories relate back to me? And obviously, like, we are friends outside of this, so I know things, and it's been great. So at the end of all my episodes, I do ask everyone a random question, different for each episode. Ooh. So my question for you is, what is your most useless talent?
Oh, useless talent?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's my mundane superpower is packing, but that's actually pretty useful. My useless talent. Oh, I can snap without my thumb. Or kind of. I have to here. See? That's it. I'm not gonna save the world with that. Mother Teresa may be jealous, but it's not gonna do anything for the world. Yeah, that's probably my most useless talent.
All right, that brings this episode to a close. I will be leaving a link in the description for a resource that John has provided from one of his scouting cohorts, Mike, about coming out in scouting and kind of those sort of things, along with history. He's got a book coming out, so that website will be there. It's Morally Straight. So feel free to go check that out and look for more information. And if you'd like to connect with the podcast, our website is in the description as well. That brings you to all of our past episodes, all past links that guests have provided, and all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, my email is in the description, so feel free to reach out to me. And if you would like to support the podcast monetarily via a one-time or recurring donation, you can do that as well. There is a link in the description. So thank you so much, John, for spending time with me today, and to my listeners for taking the time out of your day to hear a new story. Until next time, bye.
All right, goodbye.